Hello friends, you are welcome in video lecture series on plant anatomy. So today I am going to discuss the next article from plant anatomy syllabus. The title of today's topic is epidermal tissue system. So as far as the higher plant body is concerned, there is so much complexity in the organization of higher plant body. That means in higher plant body there is a division of labor for performing different physiological functions. Different types of tissues are developed in higher plant body. So the tissues present in different organs or in different regions of plant body for performing common physiological function together form a system called as a tissue system. So according to the anatomist Sachs, so this worker, anatomist, recognized three basic tissue systems, namely epidermal tissue system, number 2, ground tissue system, and number 3, vascular tissue system. So this worker Sachs classified these tissue systems into three different types on the basis of the topography or on the basis of the site of these tissue systems present in the plant body, as like epidermal tissue system, ground tissue system or fundamental tissue system, and lastly third one, vascular tissue system, or it is also known as conducting tissue system. So these three basic tissue systems are recognized by this anatomist Sachs in 1875. Later on, another physiologist, anatomist, recognized 12 different tissue systems on the basis of functions performed by the different tissue systems. So he adds this another tissues, for example, mechanical tissue system, secretory tissue system, etc. So out of these different tissue systems, we are going to study only two tissue systems, namely epidermal tissue system and secretory tissue system. So today I am going to discuss the epidermal tissue system. So we know very well meaning of this term epidermis. Epidermis is a term which is taken from two Greek words. Epi means above, derma means layer or skin. That means outermost layer of cells present on the different plant organs. Outermost layer of cells present on the each and every organ of the plant body is commonly called as epidermis. That means epidermis is the outermost protective layer present on each and every organ of the plant. So the outermost layer of cells on all parts of primary plant body together form a protective system called as epidermal tissue system. So this is the definition of epidermal tissue system. That means the outermost layer of cells on all parts of the plant body together form protective system called as epidermal tissue system. So for our convenience, this epidermal tissue system is divided into these three components, namely epidermis and cuticle, number 2 specialized epidermal cells, and number 3 various epidermal outgrowths. So I am going to discuss one by one these three components of this epidermal tissue system. Number 1, epidermis and cuticle. So this outermost covering of cells present on each and every organ, forming a continuous layer, which is nothing but epidermis layer. Epidermis layer. So this epidermis layer, if we observe under microscope by taking the transverse section, in transverse view, epidermis shows such tubular or barrel shaped, compactly arranged, thin walled living cells. So these epidermal cells are generally living because their walls are made up of cellulose. They contain protoplasmic components in the form of nucleus, cytoplasm and cell organelles. So if we observe the epidermis in surface view, that means if we take the peel section of leaf and observe under microscope, epidermis shows the polygonal or hexagonal cells which are compactly arranged without intercellular spaces except the regions of stomata. So this epidermis layer, which is generally made up of parenchymatous cells which are compactly arranged, and this continuous layer of epidermis is without any interruption or without this except the stomata. Epidermis is continuous layer. So these epidermal cells are living cells. They contain variety of components in the form of crystals, granules, organic food material in the form of starch, etc. So if plants is growing under shady places, that means in shade loving plants, epidermal cells also possess chloroplast. That means the pigments like chlorophyll, another pigments like anthocyanin are also reported in the epidermal cells as far as their chemical composition is concerned. So if we observe this epidermis layer is covered with another protective covering. It is commonly known as cuticle. So this cuticle is additional substance of fatty substance commonly known as cutin. Cutin is the name of fatty substance which is made up of fatty material. So this additional layer of fatty substance, cutin, is commonly known as cuticle. So this nature of cuticle is different in different plants. For example, if you take mesophytic plants, nature of cuticle is thin. If you take xerophytic plants, the nature of cuticle is thick one. That means this is the example of thin cuticle, this is the example of thick cuticle. This thick cuticle is generally observed in xerophytic plants. So in order to save the water due to excessive transpiration in xeric conditions or in dry regions, in order to save the plant from desiccation or excessive loss of water from epidermis is covered with the additional substance cutin in thick layer, in the form of thick layer. So that means in mesophytic plants, cuticle is thin one. In xerophytic plants, cuticle is thick one. So cuticle in some plants also shows some adaptations or modifications. For example, in banana leaf, cuticle shows peg-like projections. For example, in grapes, the cuticle shows granular appearance. So in sugarcane stem, if you take the transverse section of sugarcane, M stem of sugarcane from nodal region, it shows the cuticle layer and additional waxy coating in the form of waxy rods. So these are the rod-like structures which are made up of waxy substance. That means in case of xerophytic plants generally, for example Calotropis, another layer of wax is also observed on the cuticle layer known as waxy coating. That means in xerophytic plants like agave as well as aloe as well as Calotropis, this waxy coating is generally reported. Then in some plants, the cuticle is generally multi-layer. Rarely, for example, in most of the plants, cuticle is single layer. But in some rare cases, for example, in xerophytic plants, this is the section of nerium leaf. Superficial layers, 1, 2, 3 layers are there. That means this type of epidermis is commonly known as multiple epidermis, or it is also known as multi-layered epidermis. So main function of this multi-layered epidermis in xerophytic plants like nerium is to check the rate of transpiration. So another example, if we take the transverse section of begonia, leaf, this begonia also shows 1, 2, 3 layers of epidermis. So according to some anatomists, these lower layers of epidermis in begonia are taking part in storage of water. That means these layers are also called as the water storage layers by some anatomists. So if we take transverse section of aerial root of orchid and observe the anatomical details of aerial root of orchid, the aerial root of orchid shows the limiting layer. Peripheral layer, outermost layer is a limiting layer. So this limiting layer is followed by the compactly arranged hexagonal polygonal cells, 2, 3, 4 layers, and this total tissue is looking like this multi-layered epidermis. And some anatomists consider this filament tissue which is observed in epiphytic roots also as a multi-layered epidermis. So another examples are also available in nature. For example, in Abyssinia, epidermis is multi-layered. In Peperomia, layers of epidermis are 13 to 14. That means in Abyssinia, Rhizophora, Begonia, Nerium, Peperomia, epidermis is multi-layered. So in some plants, epidermis shows the multi-layered epidermis or many layers of epidermis. Then second part of this epidermal tissue system can be studied under the heading of specialized epidermal cells. So these specialized epidermal cells can be studied under the heading of these stomata and villiform cells. These villiform cells are also known as motor cells. So in the layer of epidermis, some openings are there, and these openings are created by some specialized epidermal cells commonly called as guard cells. So this guard cells creates an opening in epidermis, and this opening is commonly called as stoma, singular. Stoma is a Greek word, it means opening. So these many openings are found in the aerial organs, especially leaves and younger stems, younger branches, etc. So these openings are commonly called as stomata. So these stomata are created by the modified epidermal cells commonly called as guard cells. So if you observe the structure of typical stomata, it shows the pair of guard cells which are having uneven thickening of the walls. The inner walls of the guard cells are thicker one, outer walls of the guard cells are thinner one, and these pair of guard cells which are kidney shaped in dicots, which are surrounded by 2 to many subsidiary cells or accessory cells. So these guard cells which are having uneven thicker walls plays important role in the opening and closing of stomata. So this typical stomata shows pair of guard cells having uneven thickened walls surrounded by 2 to many subsidiary cells. So if we observe the different species of the plants and observe the structure of stomata, the worker anatomists Metcalfe and Chalk, these two associate workers, classified the stomata on the basis of morphological structures of stomata. So this Metcalfe and Chalk classified the stomata into these 5 different categories like anomocytic type of stomata, anisocytic type of stomata, parasitic type of stomata, diacytic type of stomata, and graminaceous type of stomata. So if we observe this first type of stomata, anomocytic type of stomata, in this type of stomata, the stomatal guard cells are surrounded by few number of cells, and these cells are not differentiated from epidermal cells. So cells surrounding to this pair of guard cells are commonly known as subsidiary cells. But here we can't differentiate the subsidiary cells from epidermal cells. And such type of stomata are commonly studied under the heading of anomocytic type of stomata. Second type of stomata are known as anisocytic type of stomata. In this type of stomata, the pair of guard cells are surrounded by 3 subsidiary cells. Out of these 3 subsidiary cells, 1 subsidiary cell is smaller in size and 2 subsidiary cells are larger in size. That means out of these 3 subsidiary cells, 1 small and 2 larger subsidiary cells are there. That means due to uneven size of the subsidiary cells, these stomata generally known as anisoscetic type of stomata. Next type of stomata is known as parasitic type of stomata. In this stomata, there are guard cells of stomata are surrounded by only two subsidiary cells. So the common wall of guard cells is parallel to the subsidiary cells. The next type is diacetic type of stomata. In this type of stomata also, there are guard cells are surrounded by only two subsidiary cells, and the common wall of guard cell is perpendicular to the subsidiary cells. And last type of stomata is commonly studied under the heading of graminaceous type of stomata. So this graminaceous type of stomata generally found in family Graminae. So this is the old name of this family, though new name or recently this family is studied under the heading of Poaceae. So examples of this Graminae or Poaceae members: all grasses or all monocot crops, jawar, rice, ragi, bajra, wheat, maize, sugarcane. All these monocot crops and all grasses are the examples of family Poaceae. So in these Poaceae members, if we take the big section of leaf and observe under microscope, the stomata are looking like this. That means these stomatal guard cells are generally dumbbell shaped. These pair of guard cells are surrounded by triangular two subsidiary cells, and stomata are arranged in regular rows. So this type of typical type of stomata, it is the important anatomical characteristic feature of all monocot plants. That's why this type of stomata are commonly studied under the heading of graminaceous type of stomata. Then next type of specialized epidermal cells are studied under the heading of bulliform cells, or commonly they are also known as motor cells. So these bulliform cells are generally found in sugarcane leaf, as well as in maize leaf, as well as some grasses, as well as bamboo, etc. So these bulliform cells or motor cells may be found in upper as well as lower epidermis of the leaves of grasses and monocot crops. So why the name is given for these cells as a bulliform cells? Because the shape of the cell is balloon-like. That means the bulliform cells are larger in size, they are balloon-like, tubular, and they are different from neighboring epidermal cells. So these cells, bulliform cells, are characterized by the cell walls of these bulliform cells are thin, which are made up of cellulose. The bulliform cells contain larger vacuoles. That means large vacuole is the important character. Then these bulliform cells don't show any kind of solid contents. They are lacking the chlorophyll pigments or chloroplast, cell organelle. That means these cells store excess quantity of water because of presence of large vacuole. So as far as the functions of these bulliform cells are concerned, according to some anatomists, these bulliform cells plays important role in keeping the young leaves in erect condition. That means these bulliform cells are having ability to absorb the water from neighboring cells, and these cells become turgid. And due to becoming the turgid, the epidermis layer gets stretched, and young developing leaves, they don't roll, they become erect in order to expose the young developing leaves to the sunlight. This bulliform cell plays important role. The another function of bulliform cells, according to some anatomists, the bulliform cells plays important role in rolling of leaves in desert grasses like Ammophila, Poya, etc. That means in desert grasses like Ammophila, Poya, etc. If atmospheric temperature increases, due to more light intensity, suddenly these bulliform cells expels water, and they becomes contract. And due to contraction, sudden contraction of this, or due to placidity of these bulliform cells, the leaves becomes rolled, and due to rolling of the leaves, the leaf surface which is exposed to the sunlight is minimized, and automatically the loss of water during process of transpiration is reduced or checked. That means in desert grasses like Poya, Ammophila, these bulliform cells plays important role in checking the rate of transpiration by rolling of leaves in these desert grasses. So that's all about this first part of this epidermal tissue system, epidermis, cuticle, and specialized epidermal cells. So next time I am going to discuss the various epidermal appendages or various outgrowths arising from the epidermis.